Not bad.
Right then,
All right.
how do we begin? Begin by identifying problems. What are the problems? How do artists relate to their time? How do you write a career manifesto that relates to its time?
Well, we've got to, I guess.
Got the points we covered before.
Yeah. Which were.
Which word do you have where there has a very strong political sort of focus, or do you have a stream form of individualism, which is the correct sort of approach, which is the correct method for us as artists and also as a group, as we're acting collectively.
I think, like I was saying before,
I mean, both are valid, there's no denying it, but
individualism is important because everyone has to have their own sense of autonomy.
Yes, absolutely.
Within
and a political statement can be very individual, of course. It's an interpretation.
Yeah, but
do you make statements though?
Well, I mean, what it really implies is, do we have a political base or political platform?
Yeah, exactly. Do we
or take political?
Like we discussed in the past, does the group have that political platform? And is it completely necessary?
There's not enough consensus probably for that, is there? I don't know.
But is it necessary? We've discussed this many times. Do you feel? I mean, I feel to some extent that it is.
To some extent, but then, I mean, everyone's going to have different ideas on how to actually do that anyway, aren't they? I guess.
Yes.
So, I mean,
but can an extreme form of individualism be seen as ignoring events or creating this ivory tower that we talked about?
Maybe, but then, if you just have some very general guiding principles in the manifesto,
yes,
then that kind of sidesteps that, because everyone's kind of got, and if assuming everyone agrees to those principles, then everyone's got something to agree from, I guess.
Yes.
And then, I kind of see that as not really a big issue. The big issue, I think, is the aesthetics. Also, yeah, like, do we want a general aesthetic that we want to try and develop, or a kind of group aesthetic, or that could be as.
What do you mean by a group aesthetic? I mean,
just
because we're all very individual as artists, so you can't really have
so it returns to the individual versus group question, I guess. Basically.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting kind of why I would steer towards the individual. I think the individual's more important than the group. Well, not more important than the group, but if everyone can't have their own individual voice, then that's not good for the group, I guess. It's like almost like that Nash thing, isn't it? With what's good for the individual is good for the group in some respects. Everyone's working towards the same objective, which is not the right way to put it.
But a manifesto in itself can create an objective, can't it? Create a set of aims.
Well, yeah. And it has to be I think that's why it has to be quite generalistic.
That brings us back to the subject of politics again.
But so what do you think we should politically be aiming for?
Well, we're all left-wing. Most of us are, I think, at least. Some are more driven towards socialism than others, so others not so. I mean, it becomes quite complicated. I mean...
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, is it recording? Just double check.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's finished. It should be, so... but then even different people have different interpretations of what even socialism is, don't they? Because you've got, just to be a bit arsey.
But you can have an exhibition with a political theme and then people can interpret that, which we tried to do in the past. So that you don't really need a manifesto.
Oh, yeah.
You can just say, right, we're going to have a
the political aspect of it could just be as simple as have shows that sometimes have a slightly political theme and people can interpret it how they wish.
Issues within
society living in. Surrealists had this in there with Dali splitting off because he was slightly right-leaning, I suppose, wasn't it?
Fascist-leaning, yes.
Well, yeah, and then...
Breton was a more communist, yeah.
But then also...
But he also did that to be very provocative as well. He was trying to provoke the rest again. He enjoyed provoking Breton, so that's a slightly different thing.
Yeah.
He was a very provocative character.
Taking from that same example as well, though.
But
Breton did become too much of the high pope in...
But you have an example of extreme individualism there, in surrealism, and the political stance of surrealism.
Well, because what happened a lot with them was they became almost too ideological, I guess, or
Yeah.
ideologues with Breton. They were communist, all aligned with the Communist Party.
Then he aligned himself with fascism.
And then it kind of, the Americans took over from what they're doing with automatism and everything else.
Mm.
It's realistic, well, it's realistic, abstract expression. It's been a lot of, well, it had a lot to do with Hitler and all the rest of the rise of fascism in Europe, I suppose, didn't it? Because then a lot of those European artists ran off to America.
Yeah, that he
Spread
did. He went to New
spread
York.
their ideas to
Yeah.
New York. But anyway, that's by the by. I think having a general political aims is good, but then not like a specific platform, because then we just become a political party almost.
Exactly, that's the problem, isn't it? When you merge politics and art together.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
Great.
the art of protest, probably, on some level. And I think it'd probably be good to do some shows which have, whether it be our welfare state or NHS or some general like Labour kind of left wing.
Okay, so you can have politicised shows, so you don't need that political element to the manifesto then.
Not really in the manifesto. I think, like for me personally, I think it can have a slightly political element, but it has to be somewhat apolitical. Otherwise, I feel in some respects we do run the risk of becoming like this realist where it was became very draconian in its interpretation of the political, I guess.
Mm.
That makes sense. And it just became Breton saying, "Oh, we're going to do it this way," and it kind of stifled the creativity of the group, probably in some respects. I mean, so maybe because then you get annoyed at, I don't know, it just seems a bit stifling in some ways. I mean, I'm more interested in the ideas of how we respond an aesthetic that is involved with technological advances and also political events as well, but advancing aesthetic in the same way that the
Well, in the second manifesto, we focus a lot on the role of art now, the role it had in the past, and the role it has now. And how do you redefine that role? I mean, that's at least what I was aiming towards.
oh yeah, it was a lot about society.
Especially painting. How do you make painting important?
Well,
again?
yeah, we need to.
Which is a very
talk about
difficult-
that. We didn't talk about that enough in the second one. I think we didn't
We
really
touched
talk
upon it.
specifically. We talked very broadly about art.
In a very broad sense of the word.
So, and we did talk about painting a bit, but we could be more specific to make it more about painting. But to do that, I really feel we need to dive deeply into aesthetics. I feel because that's what painting is. It's aesthetics.
I mean, art is still important in one sense of the word in society and consumer culture because you have illustration. And these are very important for textbooks, for
Oh yeah,
films,
graphics, everything. I mean, it's everywhere.
magazines, yeah. So,
I mean, a lot of that all comes down to should there not necessarily spiritual value in the spiritualist sense of it, but should it have some kind of should it be portraying a message of some description? But then should the manifesto job then to be because you don't transcribe it because like we were saying earlier on today, painting always has to have a sense of the mystical to it.
yes,
In some
absolutely.
senses,
Yeah.
because you don't as an artist you don't know what you're doing half the time anyway.
It is a mystical process because a lot of your actions are unconscious. So,
So should we?
you act to a lot of time near intuition.
I mean, like I was talking a while ago, I was saying about bringing Becker in with like psychological aspects in terms of like Lacan and
Mm.
even Freud or whatever. Even though Freud's obviously old, but we could look into newer interpretations of psychoanalysis, even Jungian theory, whatever. Try and bring some of those elements in. Like I know a fair bit on Jung. Becker's very knowledgeable on Lacan. You know stuff about Deleuze and Guido, that's it. So
A little bit about
think about bringing some of those elements. You've read all the stuff on Francis. They wrote about Francis Bacon as well. You can bring a lot of the aesthetics of that into it. Maybe even the theatre of the absurd in some ways. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that's about. I've just heard Becker mention it a few times. But that sounds quite interesting. Just the very idea of it. And I think I've been naturally doing it anyway for a while. Maybe bringing a lot of language about like arenas of reality or unreality. I quite like that idea.
That's an interesting point. Arenas of reality, I like that.
Or opposing ideals. So yeah, it's just
All right. So, sorry, I was looking at something else. So, you feel that we should look at different levels of reality or different levels of consciousness in
Yeah,
the manifesto and in our work general?
subconscious. I mean, that does again touch on old themes of surrealism.
That's
But
probably
just
much more interesting in politics, I suppose.
update it into a more contemporary realm. And this can relate to this aesthetics as well.
Because it
So,
relates to what Burroughs was saying about art. Art expands awareness, then it becomes part of the general awareness. And I actually agree with that. I absolutely agree with that point.
I think if we try and develop, like I was trying to say about the arenas, I guess, which is again, it's just
Arenas of
drawing.
reality.
Yeah,
Perception.
or I kind of like the idea of trying to create a space that's outside of actual reality, i.e., a metaphysical realm, where these ideas and images can all have a space to even fight each other or become or find unity in some respects.
In
Because
abstract space.
yeah, I mean that's quite a good idea actually. I mean, if we're talking about politics, but we're artists, we're not politicians.
No, we are.
So we've got to separate.
And we are dealing with reality. We're dealing our own reality and the reality of
and we're
others.
dealing with ideals
and how we connect to it.
So
we're building bridges of reality in a way.
well, yeah, we have to try and put them all in a grinder and find out which ones stick.
Yeah, I think that's a much more interesting approach. I think you're absolutely right.
So,
And it connects to all of us as artists. I mean, absolutely.
So,
Well, politics can be quite limiting, I think,
well, yeah,
in a way for us as a group.
I mean,
Politically.
I think we can certainly probably in agreement with others in the group.
Yeah.
Pursue certain lines of protest, and in some respects, even try and develop alternatives.
Yes.
So, but then we're not political theorists at the end of the day,
No, we're not.
and we're not. We are philosophers in some respects, but not political theorists. Those are two very different beasts. Yeah, a lot of time political theorists are really the people who are fucking the world over all the time, to be honest. Philosophers less so, but still to a degree. Because they...
Yeah, it depends on interpretation. Are you
Well,
talking about Marx, or are you talking...
Yeah, yeah.
Or are you talking about Nietzsche? Nietzsche's
No,
ideas
Nietzsche's
were
a
gross...
philosopher.
Nietzsche was a great philosopher, but his ideas were grossly distorted by the Nazis.
Well, yeah,
he
never even meant his work to be...
he wasn't a nationalist or a racist.
It wasn't a political discourse. No. It was really a creative ideal.
Yeah, exactly.
Hubermensch was just a creative ideal. It wasn't about
exploring
a marker for the Nazis to create Superman by any stretch.
High man was realising your potential.
Oh yeah,
the
opposite of the Nazi ideal. Really,
they wanted mass conformity. They wanted people to have no identity, part of an unthinking mass.
Yeah.
Irreparably tied to the state.
That's why, in some respects, I think, as thinking person or how developing thinking or philosophy, you have to have a certain amount, take on board a certain amount of responsibility, because if your words can be taken out of context or misinterpreted quite severely, then they can be really severely taken on board by people like Nietzsche.
But when you're using metaphor, that can happen, can't it? Or if you use platitudes of any kind.
Yeah.
Religion is constructed out of platitudes.
Definitely, yeah.
So there you go. So, you can read any meaning.
And I think,
really.
Just to take it to a random...
The whole of the Third Reich was built on platitudes.
A lot of the things in the things I've been hearing online about atheism just take on a random one. A lot of people criticise it because it leaves a vacuum. They say it leaves a moral vacuum or a spiritual vacuum. Yes. Now, obviously, Nietzsche would say that has to be filled with art and culture.
Exactly.
But then, isn't there a case for creating these metaphysical spaces?
Well, for Nietzsche, it wasn't just creativity that was built spiritual vacuum. It's also the intellect, the development of the intellect, the mind.
So that doesn't that involve?
The mind was the spiritual.
In this aesthetic idea, doesn't that then involve the idea of developing these pictorial spaces to encompass all those contradictions?
Yes.
So, I mean, that to me seems like one of the better original ideas we've had so far.
It's much more interesting, absolutely. It's definitely in a new direction.
So, yeah, just an idea of pictorial space, metaphysical pictorial space representing
a spiritual space, sort of.
Yeah, if you wanted to call it that, yeah.
Yeah, as a metaphor.
It's metaphysical, so it's not real in the sense that we really understand it. It's beyond physical, isn't it? I think that's the definition. Meta, beyond. So, yeah, it's just like a imagined, it's a mental realm, really, which kind of touches on a lot of what the surrealists did. It's the mind, landscape of the mind. But I think that's where we've got to dive again. I think that's what art needs to dive into again, is the self. Not the self, sorry, but the mind and the collective self, not just. I don't mean
Yes.
self in a selfish sense. I mean in the sense of,
In the self, yes, I understand.
I mean, like Coil. There's a really good video of Coil, actually, industrial experimental group. Both dead now, actually, both the main members. But younger, one of the members is talking about you have to. They're quite informed by surrealism in the sense of diving into your own personal visions and then putting them out through your art. And I think that has to be the way to go as well. Especially when times are getting darker as well. I think it's even more important to project that darkness out. Offer some vision of hope, obviously. I mean, even the expressionists did that. I mean, the amount of expressionist paintings which feature Jesus and Christ and all the rest of it. You know, some of them had been through hell.
Yeah, but do
literally.
artists have an obligation to transmit messages of hope, you think?
Well, they don't have an obligation to, but
During dark times, you think that's maybe necessary to have this
probably.
ray of
I mean,
light?
you've got to represent the truth as much as you can,
Yeah.
and that truth is hope is as much a truth as despair. At the end of the day, without wanting to sound too wanky.
Well, despair is reality as much as hope is.
Oh yeah,
It's just facts.
it wouldn't exist. There wouldn't exist. Hope wouldn't exist if despair wasn't there in the first place. Anyway, it's like just, they have a mutual existence there.
One can't exist without it. That takes you back to Nietzsche when he said, like, joy and hope were comparable on an equal level with misery and pain.
Yeah. So
You know, they interrelate. They feed off each other.
so yeah, you've got to have you've got to have these very
You can't just have a positive experience. You have bad experiences, and you learn from them.
well, yeah. I mean,
Then the day then sort of make you appreciate the positive experiences more.
but, yeah. So we can put that into the manifesto. I think of the stuff about creating landscapes, imagine landscapes. I mean, that we can really dive into that. There's a lot of meat you can dive into.
Forming like a mental landscape
Yeah,
formation or a mental universe.
and we don't have to. I mean, a lot of us are already
Forms.
doing it anyway. Like, I'd say I'm doing it a lot. Elena's doing it certainly. Becca's certainly doing it in her work. You're doing it.
To an extent, I do it in my work.
Well, your work is based a lot on the figure. But
It's
still,
more about observation
but it's still. I mean, you're not.
and a reinterpretation
you're-
of those observations.
You're still seeing people in a kind of almost spiritual light in the sense of how you portray them, and it's not always a light spiritual light. It can be quite dark. So it works into those things, right? Like the Christ and the crucifixions and everything.
Crucifixions and a lot of the portraits are like religious iconography.
But it's fine to be influenced by those things. Are in our culture, in our blood. You can't really escape them.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's,
Okay, that's interesting.
and then maybe I'm quite interested in a minute on how technology is mutating our view of ourselves as well. And I think Jess would be interested in this as well. How being more from a female standpoint, whereas mine's more masculine standpoint. How technology and marketing and consumer culture is changing our view of ourselves, I suppose. I mean, Jess deals a lot of that in her own work from a feminist perspective, I suppose.
Yeah.
I deal with it quite a lot in the opposite direction in a lot of ways. Like, kind of, in the sense of, I guess, I don't know how to put it really. I mean, a lot of my work has got very kind of sordid sexual themes in it, I suppose. Like some of the newer stuff I'm doing has been dealing very much with pornography and kind of just express it. There's one picture I did actually which is expressing very much just how alienating that can be, I suppose, for both viewer and participant, I suppose. I mean, that's a much more fecund area.
Sexuality in art, or sexual expression in art, that's what we're talking about now, aren't we?
Yeah.
It doesn't really relate to my work because there's no real sexual content to it, apart from maybe the absence of the sexual. But I don't think my work is overtly sexual.
No.
In any sense of the word.
Mine isn't really that recent. Well, it has been more recently, but I mean, it hasn't. The only way it's really changed the contemporary world is that as individuals, we have access to more imagery.
Sexual imagery than ever before. Yeah, pornography films.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could just go on
television.
You get on your computer now,
on television,
and find I don't know, zebra fucking or some random shit like that.
It's also on mainstream television. It's on the BBC. 9:00 or 9:30 or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, I got an education on Channel 4.
You're saturated with sexual imagery from a very early age. It's everywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's in advertising. It's on billboards.
Relating that to the psychological landscapes, you can also deal with how that has affected our development as individuals, maybe.
The understanding of sex, the interpretation of sex.
Well, yeah, it becomes a product like everything else.
So that affects our relationships to each other. Yes.
It does become a product in a lot of ways, and I'm not saying I'm above that. I've consumed it as much as any other person, but it does become a point where you kind of become detached. I mean, just take it to a slightly.
Well, pornography emotionally detaches you from sex. It just becomes about stimulus and nothing else.
Yeah.
So the whole emotional exchange is absent from that. Any type of pornography will do that. So exposure to that from an early age creates that detachment. So that's where it's very damaging and very bad.
Yeah. But then you don't want to become too puritanical about it.
No, I'm not being puritanical, but there is a psychological impact of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think
teenagers looking at porn, it does have an effect.
Yeah, and it's got to be carefully negotiated, doesn't it? Really. I mean, I'm not going to stand on my high horse and say I have never watched porn. I never will, because I have.
I did when I was younger. Yeah, definitely. I think we all have it.
I still do now, occasionally, but I don't know. It has to be dealt with in some way, and it also
no, there's nothing wrong with it per se, but it does have an impact. And on somebody very young, I think it can have a damaging impact.
Potentially, yeah.
Well,
especially now.
On the individual, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's even different from even when I was younger, which wasn't that long. It was 15 years, really. When I was that age, you'd just watch the stuff on Eurotrash or whatever. Just late on Channel 5 was just softcore.
But that's how it applies as well, because overtly sexual work doesn't have the same impact. It's very distant, it's very removed, that's aesthetics again. It's the way it's represented.
Yeah.
If you're doing something that's very abstract, we're doing my work, if I did any sort of sexual work, it'd be very far removed from that. People won't get aroused by that. People won't get excited by it.
Oh no, it's moved visually.
You see it was sexual, but you'd be very distant from that.
Yeah. So,
and there's a line between art and pornography, especially in cinema.
Yeah. I mean,
especially in cinema.
So yeah, if I was just to take it around to a different one again. I was talking about how technology is changing our relationships to the body and also
this relates to the relationship to the body.
Yeah. I think the Vortices ones were interesting work. Interesting aesthetic. Well, their work is very futuristic in the way that they portray the human body, almost as a machine, as a mechanical machine. So we were talking a bit before prior to this about machines and how that will influence.
Yeah.
But then we've got to, as artists, I think we've got to take on board how it's developed and how it's developing, and then provide alternatives, actually. And they can be as crazy and zany as you want. The zanier the better, maybe, in some respects. Even if that means illustrating weird
alternatives in a traditional form.
Like Geiger with the biomechanoids.
Or do you mean the actual use of technology? Using technology to find?
Just in a visionary sense. So
pure.
Biomechanoids, Giger's biomechanoids, aliens and all the rest of it.
They're very sexualized as well, yeah. Yes.
Well, yeah, it's just like phallics and boobies everywhere and vaginas and open anuses.
Yeah.
All the rest of it. But in this really weird, kind of completely new alien way. And I think that would be an interesting direction to go as well in terms of the imaginative landscapes. And I think in terms of the Tunnel Manifesto, I think we've got to really try and provide something that's very new, but also has that tradition in it within the visionary kind of visual. And something quite unusual, really. Alright, so come on.
Is it recording?
Yeah, it's recording now.
Okay, let's talk.
So
Let's talk about the formation of a mental universe and
yeah, and we could try and think in terms of architecture, but
architecture.
completely over the top architecture that couldn't actually exist in real life or at the present time, futuristic, but without having to be without it having to actually be built, which then would allow your imagination to be more freed up, I guess. If that makes sense.
Mm.
Or it could be an architecture of the mind where it's a very psychological architecture. Would be quite interesting to explore.
Architecture of the mind.
So yeah, like you're talking about Love is the Devil early on with that scene with George Dyer in the red cage thing. Just things like that are amazing.
Referencing the structures and the cage.
Well, yeah, they're very much like a land, and it's kind
So
of
they
like,
had merged with his sort of creative landscape, his mental
Hmm.
landscape. They became figures in that landscape.
we're all trapped. We're all prisoners of our own mind, or as prisoners as much as we choose to.
That's like situationist theories about reinventing the urban landscape
Yeah.
through experience. That's what they were trying to do, reinvent urban spaces.
Well, yeah, and it's very, very important to do that because public space is often just used for. I don't know. It's not really. It's used for very boring things usually.
That's something we could focus on as well.
Yeah, and
Reinventing sort of the urban spaces, the spaces we occupy.
Mm.
And that has that philosophical
And
element
maybe
to it as well.
recontextualizing existing space and saying,
Space.
questioning, just even raising the question, could this space be used in a more productive way? Like, give you a simple example. I don't know, like a disused shopping mall. Could we not use that to put on, like, I don't know, networks of computer systems or networks of art or network? I don't know. I mean,
It's
like,
interesting, like reinventing a space, reinventing a.
public space
Yes.
needs to be reinvented anyway because retail is going to become increasingly irrelevant once people buy more stuff online because it's cheaper and it's more affordable. The rest of it.
That's happening a lot.
So we as culture makers or whatever have to deal with that question. I think some way.
Same thing's happening to newspapers as well. It's more in read online. So the newspaper, as you're buying a newspaper, is declining. It's all online now. It's almost the death of the broadsheet.
Well, yeah,
It's
and
true. I do most of my reading online.
and it's good.
Newspapers.
It's good for the environment anyway. Then,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a positive
like
aspect. to that,
a
yeah.
computer, yeah, sure, a computer still consumes energy, but not as much as a print
So,
press.
so as a culture, amassing all these empty spaces that need to be reused and redefined.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, like, there's a big argument for putting up artwork, putting up spaces, putting up, whether it be augmented reality stuff or virtual reality or paintings or all the rest of it.
I think this is
I
an interesting idea. I think it's an interesting direction.
Like the idea as well of mixing traditional painting media with augmentation and
Reusing,
virtual as well.
yeah,
Like,
using
you could,
redundant spaces.
this is the limits are as limitless as your imagination. Like, for example, I do a painting and then I project it onto a bunch of different surfaces, which then completely recontextualize the original work. That's just one example. So
Project a painting onto another painting or anything like that.
well, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, instead of seeing it as a replacement for painting, just
An
see
extension
it as
of painting.
an extension of painting. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where it should be seen, really. I think
Yeah.
instead of it's gonna, it's just a separate
Extension of
technology.
mind.
Because I mean, the point, what we have to do is basically hack these existing and emerging technologies to put them in a creative direction. It's what we saw with art's boys and then.
Yeah.
From painting's not something that's naturally comes about. It's people taking pigment and producing paints and then doing something magical with it. That's the job of the artist, to be a magician at some level.
Like a shaman.
Well, yeah, quite so. Yeah, like a magician with a K, magic.
Yeah.
It's the whole point. Creating symbols, charge them with power, and then put them out into the world and hope that someone latches onto them and gets the meaning of it. So,
Altering awareness. Yes.
yeah, altered states.